Walking down the street, Du Yuanxi noticed Yi Chen passing by. At that time, Yi Chen and others, fighting with another gang, but Yi Chen was fierce, with a stubborn look in her eyes. Deeply moved Du Yuanxi. Du Yuanxi then thought, what kind of experiences has this person gone through? That's why there is such a gaze. It's just because of this inexplicable reason. Du Yuanxi had a sudden inspiration. He stepped forward to help Yi Chen fend off the enemy, then asked Yi Chen, "Are you willing to become my disciple?" Yi Chen was taken aback. Then I instinctively asked, "Will you give me steamed buns to eat?" Hearing the other person's question, Du Yuanxi couldn't help but think of when the sect leader's senior brother accepted Feng Xiao, the conversation with Feng Xiao. So they talked about the meeting. "Then I will take you as my teacher." No matter how bizarre this process is, how melodramatic it is, how ridiculous it is, in any case, the final development, Yi Chen successfully became a disciple of Du Yuanxi, became the fourth disciple of Du Yuanxi, has also been broken. He only accepts female disciples as a rule. Feng Xiao learned about this matter. I can only sigh to myself. Abandonment of the unwanted child. It's truly terrifying. However, Feng Xiao feels this way. There really isn't much to say. At that time, he doesn't fully understand the purpose of abortion. Not clear either. Having such a powerful force against pregnancy, what kind of impact will it have on the sect? Feng Xiao felt, accepting an abandoned child, perhaps it will help the sect grow and flourish. But the truth is, Feng Xiao thought too much. Yi Chen's abandonment of pregnancy, it seems only useful for oneself, and what he gained from his decision to terminate the pregnancy. It can only be used on oneself, or please those who are close to you. As for the sect, he had no intention of reciprocating the sect's monthly interest and elixir supply. He accepted it without any hesitation. This is a son abandoned by his mother to the utmost selfishness. And this quality, it seems to be the fantasy novels that Feng Xiao read in his previous life, common traits of the protagonist. Because of the wager, and lost the red dragon's sword, Yi Chen thought more about it. Master and senior sister, why not help him get his sword back? But not him in this matter. What mistake has been made in the world? Yi Chen, deeply feeling misunderstood by the world. So I decided to go down the mountain to clear my mind. But after descending the mountain, the first place he needs to go, Liang City, is where he grew up. In the 5 years since joining the master's sect, Yi Chen had descended the mountain many times to travel, have also returned many times. Liang City. Every time I returned to Liang City, Yi Chen would go find his old friends. Although he was deeply resentful, looked down on them, but wealth and honor should not return home. Like a brocade-clad night journey, Yi Chen has always liked to show off. So I have nothing to do, just like to come back and hang out with the old brothers, drinking, feasting, and boasting. And Lai too and the others. It's also intentionally trying to please. Let Yi Chen become even more elated. Yi Chen dared to challenge Feng Xiao at the coronation ceremony. There are also reasons why Lai Tu and the others exaggerated. Yi Chen's descent from the mountain this time, feeling down. I wanted to find Lai Taoxin and the others, relieve the pent-up frustration in my heart. But I didn't expect. Strolled around the street, but heard some things, an unexpected event for him. Just a few days ago, Lai Taoxin and others, beaten up by someone, the most serious. Someone had their limbs broken. Lai Tu-san also had his thigh broken by someone stepping on it. This matter, in Linglai Yang City. Countless people are being targeted by the Lai Tu San gang, bullied to the point of anger. Those who dare not speak commend it. What made them even happier? This reveals the identity of the assailant. Teiwei Zongxin Jing Shenzi Feng Shao, second only to the leader, King Yangzi. Zai Shi Bai Lai Tu San, so-called sworn brothers. Much more noble. And the wind's whistle. It also proclaimed the Teiwei clan. Attitude towards this matter. No one is allowed to borrow. The name of the Grand Commandant. Ruling with an iron fist. Otherwise, just wait. He'll settle the score with him in the fall. The wind whistle. In the future, Lai Tu and the others. In Liang City, the reckless legacy, even if it completely falls apart. Moreover, due to these past few years, Lai Tu San and others overreacting in actions. The whole city hates them. I don't know how many there are. You can say, from that day on, their good days, it's come to a complete end. Yi Chen found out clearly, instantly filled with fury. Even though I looked down on myself, Lai Tu San and others, but they are nonetheless. It's also one's own person. Even a dog must heed its master. You whistle unexpectedly. So grand and imposing. The one who hit me, he even said something like that. Isn't that equivalent to step on my face and drag it through the dirt? Stomp hard with the foot. Did you grind it all? This is simply outrageous. Yi Chen was furious. Arrived at Lai Tu San's doorstep. Then, with a bang, kicked open the door. Lai Tu San and others. At this moment, he is lying inside to recover from his injuries. Heard the sound of a door being kicked. I thought it was an enemy at the door. Scared a few people. They all jumped up, without thinking, then ran to the window. 2 people without fractures. Runs the fastest. Jumped out of the window. In the blink of an eye. Just vanished without a trace. But Lai Tu San also wanted to run. But one leg is broken. Hopping on the other leg. Couldn't run far at all. As for the one whose limbs were crushed, it gets worse. Can't even move. Can only lie on the ground, watching the person at the door with wide eyes. Entering the room, but a moment later, his eye suddenly lit up. Quickly called out to Sanji, "It is Yi Chen. Yi Chen has returned. That brat." Lai Taowen quickly looked towards the door. It turns out the newcomer is Yi Chen. Without even thinking, suddenly rushed forward and hugged Yi Chen's calf, began to cry and sob. "Brother Yi Chen, you must seek justice for your brothers. That one called Feng Shao. They immediately gave us brothers a beating. Then it got dark. I don't even dare to look. He also said, Brother Yi Chen, you are in front of him. It's just a dog. No, not even as good as a dog. He hit the brothers. So I just hit. Anyway, we are tough and resilient, not afraid of getting hit. But we absolutely cannot tolerate this. Is he talking to you like that?" The brothers couldn't stand it anymore. Just reason with him. But he didn't say a word. Just stomped on Zio Wu's hands and feet until they broke. Even my brother. All had their thigh broken by him. Where he stepped it's our legs, oh. He's clearly stepping on your face. Lai Taoxin. This tearful performance. Seeing the strong man with his limbs trampled and broken. Everyone couldn't help but wipe away their tears. Actually, I haven't either. Yi Chen interrupted the burly man's speech. He coldly asked, "Are you saying it's Feng Shao who is hitting you?" "That's right." He said it like this. Lai Tu San wiped away his tears. He said with a fierce expression, "That pretty boy looks like someone who deserves a beating. At first glance, it's clear that it's not a good product. Heard it. He is the Grand Commander Zong Shengzi. We brothers don't want to cause trouble for you. So I spoke to him kindly. Unexpectedly, he acted so ruthlessly. Yi Chen brothers, when you were on the mountain, have you ever been bullied by him like this? Yi Chen's expression was gloomy, gave Lai Tu San a glance, the killing intent in those eyes. Watching the three of them, I couldn't help but feel my heart skip a beat. Zheng Tant Jian. Yi Chen gritted his teeth and said, "Okay, you little rascal. Is it not enough that the sect has humiliated me? I still need to go down the mountain to find those who will fight me. Wait for you. 30 years on the east bank of the river, 30 years on the west bank. The boy at the end of his journey is poor." Speaking, Yi Chen strode out the door, left without looking back. After Yi Chen left, the strong man couldn't help but ask Brother Lai, "How could you deceive Brother Yi Chen like this? Is it suitable?" Lai Tauxin gave him a disdainful glance, said coldly, "That kid Yi Chen, ever since I went up the mountain, it only makes them look down on us brothers even more. We brothers usually humor him. Isn't it all for today? If he doesn't help us brothers get the venue back. So this Liang city, is there still a place for us to settle down?" The burly man said softly, "But what if Yi Chen can't defeat that hornet? I don't care about that." Lai Tu San smiled faintly. "Anyway, I've never liked Yi Chen. If he were beaten to death, it's pretty good too." The strong man looked at Lai Tauxin's expression. I couldn't help but shiver. Chapter 16, Dengying. Walking on the streets of Liang City, Yi Chen did not feel it, the joy of coming here in the past. Instead, I felt an immense sense of humiliation. Damn be whistle. Damn holy sun. On what basis? On what basis? You want to humiliate me like this? You are just relying on having started early. It's just relying on our shared background to curry favor with you. Leaving all of this behind. What do you think you are? The position of the Holy Sun? You don't deserve it at all. Under the overwhelming resentment in my heart, Yi Chen's originally handsome appearance gradually becoming ferocious and twisted. Yi Chen originally had a narrow mind, tooth for tooth. Later, after obtaining the blood training sword, day and night affected by the blood and the demonic energy while honing the sword, the desires and greed within his heart growing stronger. He never felt, "What's wrong with this?" This is what led him for a long time ignored the negative effects of blood training sword. If nothing unexpected happens, Yi Chen will eventually succumb to darkness. Of course, following the general tropes of fantasy literature, Yi Chen, after becoming possessed, will definitely find ways to hide themselves. Only in cases of dire necessity. Only then will it be used as a trump card. And to prevent the exposure of his demonic cultivation, he will definitely silence everyone who knows. This is the characteristic of a demon practitioner. Selfish, heartless, massacre, zanu, if you insist on saying so. Power itself has no distinction between good and evil. Then it's nonsense. At that moment, Yi Chen suddenly heard. A commotion could be heard not far away. He subconsciously look in the direction from which the sound is coming. Next moment, couldn't help but widen my eyes. HMPH, you are truly rude. I just touched your thing. You insist that I buy it. Could it be that you think of me as your aunt? I am easy to bully and do not retaliate. The speaker is a stunning beauty, a girl who seems to be just in her late teens, with a look of arrogance on her face. Looks quite tough to deal with. And standing in front of her, looks like an ordinary middle-aged man. A coarse, rough shirt, not urgent or noticeable. The longing is thrown into the crowd. It's a disguise that's hard to find again. Only the middle-aged man could be heard, holding a wizard that can't slip away, crying out with a choked voice, "You little brat, you really have no regard for face. This jade pendant of mine, it is a family heirloom, originally crystal clear and green. Let me touch you like this." It turned into this state. Poor my mother is bedridden due to illness. I will sell this jade pendant to pay for medical treatment. You have ruined my jade pendant like this. How am I supposed to live now? The girl scratched her head, said, "You can't blame me for this. I know. You can't touch this jade pendant. How about I pay you some money?" Saying, the girl took out her purse, preparing to take the money. At this moment, a voice suddenly said, "Don't believe her nonsense, girl. What jade pendant? What will cure me? It's all a lie." Onlookers, everyone turned to look in the direction of the speaker. A handsome young man appeared. Jen looked at his hand with disdain. A middle-aged man holding a jade pendant. Expression on the face. A smile that isn't quite a smile. "It's you. You are Yi Chen, that middle-aged man." First there was a gasp. Then he said angrily, "You little rascal, how can one arbitrarily reverse right and wrong? This jade pendant of mine, what did it look like just now? Many people have seen this here. If it weren't for this girl touching me, this jade pendant of mine, how could it end up like this?" Yi Chen coldly laughed and said, "Who lao-er? Don't think I don't know. You just got a piece of worthless jade. Just painted it green. The green paint has chipped off. That jade pendant of yours. Nature revealed its true form. As for others, it's just the drag you brought along. You bully the girl for being inexperienced. Want to extort some money from someone. But I'm here. You can think about it, but don't overthink." As soon as these words were spoken, "Many people are unhappy. What are you talking about, you little rascal? We all saw it. Can we still wrong this girl? You little rascal, you talk nonsense right away. Don't think that just because you entered Teiwei Sept, then you can turn black into white. The great Huizong Shengzi has spoken. No one can rely on the name of Tai Huizong. Quzhou Feiwei. It's better not to mention the whistle." A whistle in the wind. Yi Chen's expression immediately darkened. He coldly scanned the crowd, said, "Since I am here today, you are not allowed. Bullying this young lady. Young lady, let's go. I'll see who dares to stop us." Actually, that middle-aged man's jade pendant, it is indeed true. Not only is it true, moreover, it is a rare opportunity. It's just this jade pendant. The value is not apparent at first glance. Only by coming into contact with individuals of a specific constitution. Only then will it trigger an effect. But after the stimulation, it's all in vain. But the girl happened to. People with special physical constitutions. Therefore, after being touched by him, the jade pendant became like this, just among the people present. No one can see the problem in this. Only Chen, because they are cultivators. I guessed a little, and the girl truly felt. When I just touched the jade pendant, it seems there is some strange energy dove into their own body. But Yi Chen has always. There is a bargain, so we fight. Never considers others. Is there something difficult? And the girl's changes in her body. It is also unclear, unable to determine. She hesitated. Should we give some money to the middle-aged man? After all, her family is not short on money. though she has a willful personality, but he is not an unreasonable person. However, unexpectedly, Yi Chen did not hesitate to speak. He pulled her and left. Onlookers, although there is discontent in the heart, but Yi Chen bears the burden of actions, could only watch helplessly, watching them leave. After walking for several hundred meters, Yi Chen finally let go, holding the girl's hand. He helps the girl. Nature does not rise up for justice, but because the girl is beautiful and dressed in luxurious clothing. Therefore, the moment I saw the girl, Yi Chen's heart, thus there was a plan to befriend. He stepped forward to help the girl out of her predicament. At this moment, the siege has been lifted. Yi Chen found it inappropriate to continue holding her. He is very clear, in front of the opposite sex. Know when to stop. This way it won't cause any trouble. The other party's aversion. At this moment, after letting go, Yi Chen smiled brightly, said to the young girl, "This girl, I am Yi Chen of the Teiwei sect." Grateful young lady's name. The girl felt that Yi Chen is being a bit meddlesome, but the other party helped me after all. The girl could only put on a face. "My name is Dan Ying. Thank you, young master. Just now I spoke boldly and honestly." Yi Chen smiled and said, "Miss, that's quite serious. I just now. It is also a fortuitous encounter. Standing up against injustice. I just said a few more words." Yi Chen chatted for a while. Instantly won the girl's favor. It's all set. After all, he is the son of Aura. In this regard, more useful than just looks, pearl in the present. So they considered Yi Chen a good friend. Smiling, he said to Yi Chen, "Unbeknownst to Master Yi, would it be convenient for you to come to my house as a guest?" Yi Chen said with a smile, "Then it would be better to obey." Next, Deng Ying took Yi Chen, walking towards the center of Liang City. Halfway there, Yi Chen then saw it from a distance. A familiar sign, Linglong Pavilion. Deng Ying pointed at Linglong Pavilion, smiled at Yi Chen. "That is my home." Yi Chen, the fame of Linglong Pavilion, Yi Chen is also aware of it. But he only knows Linglong Pavilion is a store specializing in selling, and the store that acquires magical weapons. Little did they know what lay behind Linglong Pavilion. Standing there is the foremost of the Eastern Zhu. Great power, Yun Giant Pavilion. Yi Chen also has some dealings with Linglong Pavilion. After all, Yi Chen. He has also descended the mountain to travel many times. And each time I can return fully loaded. Things that are useful to him. He just kept it for himself. Things that are useless to him. He sold it directly to Linglong Pavilion. Therefore, Linglong Pavilion manager. This person often has good things. The practitioner who sells what he has brought. It also left a deep impression. As for the other disciples of the Teiwei sect, it's usually useful to keep it for yourself. Useless. Just join the sect. Maybe someone will find it useful. Truly useless. It will be brought over by Feng Shao. One piece has been sold. Changed to a new batch. Supplies useful for the sect. This is the Linglong Pavilion. Only for Feng Shao and Yi Chen. The reason for being relatively familiar. Deng Ying is the daughter of the owner of Linglong Pavilion. Originally, I didn't live here. I just arrived in Liang City recently. Didn't expect that. The second day after arriving in Liang City, she met Yi Chen. This surprised her. Once again, I felt genuine joy. Although Yi Chen appeared calm on the surface, but inside it was bubbling with happiness. If I could win over Deng Ying, this rich and beautiful girl, then in the future I will. Can't we just go through Linglong Pavilion? have gained quite a few benefits. Although I know this girl has an extraordinary background, but I didn't expect that. Unprecedented to this extent, it can be considered a pleasant surprise. Deng Ying directly pulled Yi Chen, crossing the front hall, arrived at the courtyard of the inner hall. As soon as I walked into the courtyard, the two of them then saw two little children sitting cross-legged, practicing diligently. These two little children, a 12 or 13-year-old girl, a little boy about 8 or 9 years old. The little girl was exquisitely beautiful. At first glance, she was a stunning beauty. But that little boy, Yuxu, is also adorable. It just lacks a bit of masculine energy. Deng Ying stepped forward, patted the little girl's head. The little girl laughed. Practicing Kai again, huh? The little girl opened her eyes. Looking at Deng Ying, she revealed a sweet smile. Sister Deng Ying. Deng Ying replied with a smile, then asked, "How has practice been these past couple of days? Is there a beginner's guide?" The little girl said with a distressed expression, "There hasn't been much progress." "Sister Deng Ying, do you think I'm too foolish?" Deng Ying smiled and shook her head. "You are not stupid. Your master has set the bar too high for you. I am anyway. I've never heard of it. Who can rely on a small booklet? You can start practicing Kai." Hearing this face, Yi Chen couldn't help but feel a stir in his heart. "Brochure?" Yi Chen stepped forward. He smiled at the little girl. "Little sister, can I have your booklet? Should I show it to my brother?" The little girl glanced at Yi Chen, feeling inexplicably develop a slight aversion to it. After thinking for a moment, shaking his head, he said it won't work. "This is what master gave me, without the master's permission. I can't let outsiders see it." Yi Chen shook his head. "I am not an outsider. If I am not mistaken, what you are holding is the introductory breathing technique of the Teiwei sect." The little girl curiously, "How did you know?" Yi Chen smiled. "Of course, it's because I am also a disciple of the Teiwei sect. By the way, what is your master's name? Tell me about it. I should know you." The little girl shook her head. "I can't tell you. My master hasn't formally started yet. Accept me as your disciple." For some reason, the little girl always felt, "This looks like warm and gentle big brother. It's not as he shows. So kind. The gaze within the gaze. It is far from being. The wind whistle is so familiar and clear." The little girl felt deep joy, more or less, seeing the essence of some people. Therefore, subconsciously, did not want to get close to Yi Chen. So she turned around and pulled. Another little boy ran into the inner hall, unaware. How embarrassing is this? Yi Chen, however, is looking at the little girl's silhouette, the smile on the face. Meaning is unclear. Chapter 17, Chikayan. A person with noble demeanor. Innate connection exists between them, just like in Teiwei Zong. A person of high spirit. Almost all gathered in Sanjai, just like the wind whistling down the street. Everyone can meet Lin Ziorn. And that little girl, just like at this moment. Yi Chen immediately saw the little girl, couldn't help but pay attention to her. The essence of the whistling wind, not particularly high, but it can also be considered as a level that is 1 in 100. Although she felt, own motherboard, seems closer to the villain. But this is not contradictory, because even if it's the villain, it also has a lofty demeanor. The spirit is lacking, is unqualified to be a villain, can only be a bystander, or cannon fodder. Yi Chen was concerned about the little girl, developed a strange interest. but deep down I didn't think much of it. However, from what the other party is holding, let's take a look at that small booklet on forging. It should have been issued by General Zong. Yi Chen had never seen, but I heard Han Bian mention it before. After all, apart from the Grand Chancellor Zong, she hasn't heard yet. Which sect is there? Have done such things. Then Deng Ying pulled Yi Chen again, wandering around Linglong Pavilion. Deng Ying's father, although I am not the owner of Linglong Pavilion, but it is also management, the steward of Linglong Pavilion in Liang City. Status here, it's considered quite high. Deng Ying as her daughter. Beauty lies within. Leading Yi Chen along. Explore the various collections of Linglong Pavilion. Proudly speaking about many things. The entire upper domain. Only our Linglong Pavilion. There are ways to get it in hand. If other chambers of commerce want it, all goods must be sourced from us. Yi Chen smiled and nodded. No response. This girl is perfect in every way. So foolish, so naive, so beautiful. Only one thing. It's a bit unbearable. It's just too secure. However, after all, this is their territory. Yi Chen didn't want to say much. Can only smile and remain silent. She certainly still want to win over Deng Ying. This is a good opportunity to connect with Linglong Pavilion. Not long after, the two arrived at specializes in collecting divine weapons. Treasure Pavilion. Yi Chen followed behind Deng Ying. After wandering for a while, the gaze stopped at among the divine weapons. Can't be moved. That divine weapon. It is indeed Yi Chen's red dragon sword. Yi Chen showed a look of surprise. Hidden beneath the eyes, he smiled at Deng Ying. Miss Den, the divine weapon's here. Where did you get all this from? Deng Ying shrugged. I'm not sure about this. I heard there are custom-made divine weapons. Some have also escaped from the secret realm. There is still more. The remnants of the defeated soldiers were reforged. There are also quite a few that others have ordered, or sell it directly here. Yi Chen's eyes, a flicker of anger passed through, but still tried to remain calm. That being said, Linglong Pavilion also accepts the sale of weapons from others, not just weapons, as long as it can prove to be valuable. We at Linglong Pavilion are acquiring everything. Of course, we also sell, entering and exiting. It's just making a profit on the price difference. Yi Chen fell silent. It is obvious. The red dragon sword placed here. It was Feng Xiao selling to Linglong Pavilion. No wonder master and senior sister. No one can retrieve the sword. It turns out it was this strand from Feng Xiao. Took it to sell for money. This is absolutely ridiculous. Yi Chen began to tremble involuntarily. He glanced at Deng Ying. Suddenly said, Miss Den, do you see where that knife came from? Looks like. It feels a bit like. I saw it in an ancient text. Which knife? Deng Ying subconsciously. He looked in the direction pointed out by Yi Chen. Taking advantage of Deng Ying's gaze shifting away, Yi Chen immediately remained calm. Draw the red dragon sword. Received it in my storage ring. Then he said, It's that bronze-colored knife. Deng Ying's small actions toward Yi Chen. Unaware, excitedly explaining to Yi Chen. On the surface, Yi Chen, listening very attentively. Yet I was excited inside, almost jumped up. It really comes without any effort. After spending some time with Deng Ying, Yi Chen found an excuse. Want to leave. Deng Ying also found it inappropriate to keep people around. Reluctantly, sending Yi Chen out the door. Let Yi Chen still. When I have free time in the future, come and play more. Yi Chen responded with a smile. then hurriedly left. Deng Ying watched Yi Chen's back, disappeared at the end of the street. Only then did they return to the Linglong pavilion, even though it's just our first meeting. But Deng Ying was inexplicably developed feelings for Yi Chen, a strong liking. Even he himself, it's hard to explain why, just walked into the inner hall. Deng Yin then saw. Father walked over with a worried expression. As soon as I saw Deng Yin, the shopkeeper quickly grabbed him, urgently asked, dying, "Did you just see it? Someone has entered the armory." Deng Ying's heart skipped a beat. He hurriedly asked Grandpa, "What happened?" The shopkeeper stomped his foot, sighing, "Love, the sword that the son-in-law left with us is missing." "Sword? What sword?" Deng Ying curiously asked. "A red sword, 3 feet and 3 inches long." "Is it wide enough for 2 fingers?" "Have you seen it?" the shopkeeper quickly asked. Deng Ying thought for a moment. "When I went in to take a look just now, I still saw that sword. Why did it disappear so quickly?" "Where did you see it?" "At the fourth row of the Kangbing Pavilion shelf, on the left side in the middle," Deng Ying said confidently. The shopkeeper shook his head. "I also remember. Where did you put it?" "But where is that sword now?" "It's no longer there." "How is this possible?" Deng Ying suddenly thought of a possibility, but unwilling to believe in this possibility. Could it be the little girl and Xiao Bao took it out to play? A sword, to say the least. It also weighs over 10 pounds. Where would that child of that age be? Can be lifted. The shopkeeper shook his head again. Deng Ying still refused to believe. "Just now it made me feel. A young person with infinite affection. It turns out to be a thief." Seeing Deng Ying looking lost in thought, the shopkeeper immediately felt a sense of doubt. "I couldn't help but ask a Ying. That sword, could it be that you took it?" "Of course not." Deng Ying quickly shook her head. "What do I need a sword for? I don't need a sword again." The shopkeeper looked at him with a face full of doubt. "If it's you who takes it, then hurry and put it back. No one will ever know this." I said, "Can you stop doubting me?" Deng Ying was instantly filled with anger and embarrassment. He waved his hand and ran away. The shopkeeper watched his retreating figure. In my heart I became more certain. Even if that sword wasn't in his hands, it seems to be closely related to him as well. Deng Ying ran all the way back to her room, diving headfirst into his own bed, feeling extremely troubled inside, thinking about someone I trusted so much unexpectedly taking advantage of oneself, stealing while showing him around. He was filled with rage. He couldn't help but punch the pillow repeatedly, gritted his teeth and said, "You damn little thief! Despicable person! I thought you were a good person. Go to hell. Hurry up and die. Don't let me see you again. Otherwise I'll have to make you pay for it." The dispute between King Yangzi and Qin Zhao. Outsiders do not know. Feng Shao is busy training the younger disciples. I don't have the time to deal with these. Don't say he doesn't know, even if I know. I'm afraid I'm too lazy for such matters. Expend energy. In his view, consider that kind of thing. The vision is really limited. His goal is not to be a child of the aura. It's not about stealing the master's spotlight. Instead, let the 3 great temples of Shangyu be established. Become 4. And also, this is just for Feng Shao. It's just the first goal. As for more ambitious goals, because it's too far away. So for now, there is only one idea. It's still far from the time to think about those things. After 5 days of training, over at the Alchemy Pavilion, good news has arrived. Feng Shao needs 10 fire warding pills. It has been successfully refined. Looking at the crimson color on my hand, the elixir still steaming, Feng Shao asked Elder Zhu, old Zhu, "What are the effects of this elixir?" Elder Zhu picked up the wine jug, took a sip of wine, said irritably, "There is generally an 8 out of 10 effectiveness standard. There's no spirit fire to use either. It's all supported by my Dan fire. Be satisfied if you can achieve this. 80%. That's not too bad." Feng nodded slightly. "Put away the elixir. Feng Ziozi, I'll ask you one last time. Are you really going to Bifeng Garden?" Before Feng Shao left, Elder Zhu couldn't help but ask. Feng Shao said decisively, "This trip is a must. The significance of the spirit fire to the sect is multifaceted. Old Zhu, you know as well. It's not just your alchemy pavilion that needs it. Fan also needs it. Building the alchemy tower also requires—" Elder Zhu sighed. "All right. All right. Since you have already made up your mind, then I can only wish you good luck. But before you set off, I also need to remind you of something. It's okay if Ling Huo can't get it. Don't go and lose your life over that." Feng Shao smiled and said, "Don't worry, Lao Zhu. What I promised you is not everlasting. I can never find peace even in death." "P50, P50, P50. You little rascal. Why say such unlucky things? Get lost quickly." Elder Zhu shouted angrily. Feng Shao chuckled, turning away and leaving. That day, Feng Shao then instructed everyone, prepare at least 7 days' worth of rations. And on the next day at the rooster's meal, 3 ki, gather at the mountain gate. The disciples had already gotten used to it, the style of conduct of Feng Shao. After responding with a sound, everyone hurried back to prepare. The next day arrived. Just dawned. Everyone gathered at the mountain gate. Feng Shao first ignited the fire Dan, distributed to everyone. Then he said, "This elixir is called Pihuo Dan. Welcome everyone. In a short amount of time, will not be burned by the fierce fire. Everyone take good care of their own. Do not lose it. I don't have any extra here. Shen Zai Shixin, where are we going?" Cao Guang curiously asked. Feng Shao smiled faintly. Speaking of Bai Fangyun. Chapter 18, Closing the Circle. Yi Chen, after obtaining the red dragon's sword. The next day I was excited. Returned to Tewei sect. I didn't expect that. Just casually coming down the mountain. Let's take a break. It happened so easily. The sword has been retrieved. Although the jungle dragon pavilion, the matter of stealing the sword. I'm very sorry, Deng Ying. But in Yi Chen's heart, yet did not feel much guilt. Take care of yourself. Also helped Deng Ying once. Steal this sword and, at that time, this matter was settled. In short, Yi Chen did not feel that he— What do I owe Deng Ying? After returning to the mountain, Yi Chen unexpectedly discovered senior sister and third senior sister. Everyone is not on the mountain. The master and the 2. Many disciples have also disappeared without a trace. Yi Chen felt confused. So I asked someone about the situation. However, since Yi Chen's coronation ceremony, since the challenge of Feng Shao began, sect matters. Almost everyone. Everyone feels very dissatisfied with it. Just concerned about his true identity of the 3 fox spirits. This is why I endure and remain silent. But they can avoid provoking. Doesn't represent them. Can still do it. Night and morning will answer any questions. Therefore, after asking around Yi Chen, surprisingly, everyone, all are just indifferent. I replied to him, I don't know. Of course, they really don't know. These 3 words. Bai Yechen was so angry that he spoke oddly, but there was nothing that could be done. Finally, Yi Chen at the Tranquility Hall found someone meditating and practicing. Second senior sister Lai Qingying. Lai Qingying, though not in the love of the disciples descending the mountain, but also knows Feng Xiao has taken people to do serious business. These years since joining the school, Feng Xiao often would from time to time, leading some disciples, going down the mountain to work. Every time I return fully loaded, or Tei Wei Song. This will also enhance strength. Further enhancement, Lai Qingying explained the situation. Indeed, there are some misunderstandings. Junior disciple inquiring, "What is this for?" Little did they know night and dawn. At this moment in my heart, it has already started to rain. My own abacus. He naturally knows this as well. Feng Xiao takes people down the mountain each time. There are many important things to do. Although unclear, where is Feng Xiao actually from? The intelligence materials obtained. But it is clear that Feng Xiao has come to find you. These are valuable opportunities. Perhaps it is precisely because of this. Yi Chen couldn't help it, silently cursing Feng Xiao for being such a fool. Such a great opportunity. Isn't it okay to secretly chat? Why drag so many people along? This is not what belongs to me. Have opportunities been given to others? What else could this be but foolishness? Therefore, that night Chen heard about Feng Xiao. Another group has gone down the mountain. Yi Chen immediately realized this is a rare opportunity, a great opportunity to seize. Thinking of this, he didn't even have time to say goodbye to his senior sister, take out the Chailong sword. With a swift movement, he drew his sword, rushing through the sky. Lai Qingying watched the distant figure of Yi Chen leaving. Doubt in my heart. The crimson dragon sword of the little junior disciple. When did you get it back? Bifeng Garden is located to the south of Teiwei Zone. Flying with a sword, it takes at least 3 days of flying to arrive. Yechen, although I only know a general direction. But since it's a flying sword, who would fly around in circles? It must be the line of flight. Late to the rendezvous, because I need to take care of junior disciples with lower cultivation levels. So, Feng Xiao did not use all his strength. Yechen, it's flying alone by oneself. Naturally, I want to fly as fast as possible. How fast can it fly? Not long after. Yi Chen saw it from a distance, the figures of senior brothers and sisters, and slowed down, following from a distance behind. Since it is about seizing opportunities, it cannot be done openly and grandly. Appeared in front of everyone. Yi Chen was quite cautious on this journey. Try to conceal your opportunities. He was inherently talented. The boundary isn't much different from the wind's whistle. He was a head taller than others. Therefore, all the way here, Feng Xiao and others just happened to go unnoticed. Unconsciously, 3 days' journey, and just like that, it passed. Bifeng Garden, located south of Qingyang Mountain. Fang Huan by Lion, blazing heat. Near Bifeng Garden, there are still dozens of kilometers to go. Everyone felt that a wave of scorching heat hits me. Everything seems to be under the scorching crack, curled up by the wind. Feng Xiao noticed. Many people, unable to withstand the invasion of the heat wave. At that moment, he commanded everyone to land. After everyone landed, the wind whistled. Everyone now, take out the Pihuo Dan. Then the festival's sky formed a formation. I walk at the forefront. Lu Shaimai walked at the back. Everyone possesses both. must not exceed 3 feet. If someone feels like they can't hold on anymore, don't push yourself too hard. Shout it out immediately. Did you all hear that clearly? Listen carefully. Everyone shouted in unison. The wind nodded gently, then quickly helped me with the pihuodan. Upon hearing this, everyone, without hesitation, immediately take out the pihuodan to assist. Lu Qingyuan looked at his senior brothers and sisters, listening to Feng Xiao so obediently. I couldn't help but marvel inwardly. He really couldn't understand. On senior brother Feng's body, what is the charm after all? Let so many people unconditionally believe in him. Lu Shaimai, don't just stand there. You should hurry and eat the pihuodan too. Feng Xiao meets Lu Qingyuan. No movement for a moment. Just a reminder. Lu Qingyuan came back to his senses. Hastily said, "Good," after everyone helped the pihuodan down. The whistle directed everyone, formed the heavenly formation. After the formation was established, a thin layer, there is a stone-like barrier, covered everyone. The originally scorching heat wave. Suddenly it became more bearable. Then the wind blew a signal. Everyone began to. Departing from Bifeng Garden, Yicheng saw this scene from afar. But I couldn't help but widen my eyes. You can't be serious. This is Bifeng Garden. Bifeng Garden ranked among the top 10 scenic spots. Not long after embarking on the path of cultivation, Yi Chen then heard others mention the 10 realms, each one, cannot enter at will. If you accidentally go in, slightly injured, critically wounded, severe consequences can shatter the soul. Bifeng Garden is among the top 10 realms, not the most dangerous. It definitely isn't that easy to get in, even from dozens of miles away. You can also see Xingchen hunting swallows charges into the sky. It's just light, that is not a flat plain, but an enormous pit of fire. Yi Chen really wanted to follow, seizing the opportunity to snatch the chance. But I felt it. It can almost refine a person. The origin of the intense heat. Yi Chen hesitated. It seems we can only be outside. When they came out, ancient texts and imperial edicts. Mutual verification. Feng Xiao confirmed it. The source of Bifeng rock, buried beneath the Bifeng tomb. But precisely because of this, Feng Xiao felt a sense of doubt rising in his heart. Bifeng Garden exists. It has been at least several thousand years. And among them, the most striking, this is the Bifeng tomb. If it were the rock of Bifeng, the truth lies beneath the roots of the Bifeng tomb. So, why for thousands of years it has never been unearthed? Feng Xiao made a series of speculations. There are 3 possibilities. Part 1. The vast majority of people do not believe. What genius treasures exist in Bifeng Garden? So there weren't many people interested in exploring here. Part 2. The temptation of the green rock, not enough to allow the monk, willing to risk being burned alive, come in and explore. Part 3. In the Bifeng Garden, there are still unknown dangers lurking. The above 3 possibilities. Feng Xiao believes the third possibility is the most likely. Therefore, he has also mentioned it now. 10,000 parts of caution. While supporting the passport, expand your perception as much as possible. On the scorching ground of the military train, flames keep emerging from the cracks in the earth, flames erupting in certain places, even reaching several meters high, shading the sun. Yao Muyu Man. The surrounding air was dry and scorching. It feels like being placed on a bonfire. Baking is usually incredibly uncomfortable. The fire-dispelling pill can only ensure They will not be harmed by the flames, but cannot be immune to the body, the feeling of intense heat, although it is very difficult to endure. But every one in the team, no one complained. A line of 10 people, walking slowly in Bifeng Garden. It took a full hour to walk. Feng Shui saw it from a distance. A black, oily ball, an inconspicuous dead tree. Feng Shixing, is that our target over there? Also noticed. The cold azure clouds over the withered tree. Couldn't help but ask. Feng Shao nodded slowly. The path ahead. Everyone be careful. I'm not sure either. What will happen? In case of danger, everything is rewarded with survival. Everyone responded in unison with congratulations. Then followed closely behind Feng Shao, walking towards the direction of Xiang by Fangmu, the vast Bifeng Garden. The lonely by Fangmu tree seemed very abrupt, but actually by Fangmu is not tall. At most, it's only about 2 meters. Withered trunk and the bare branches, making it look like, it seems like it has already, it feels like it's been dead for many years. What surprised Feng Shao and the others even more was, as they go along, gradually approaching by Fangmu, temperature of the air, it seems to be gradually decreasing. This made everyone couldn't help but feel a jolt of excitement. But Feng Shao and Lu Qingyuan, it was instinctive, increased vigilance. For some reason, they always feel things won't go so smoothly. Just then they walk to the vicinity of Baifengmu. When there were about 200 meters left, on the green bark of the tree there is a dark trunk. It seemed like a flash of light passed by. Feng Shao's heart raced, shouted danger, defend the front, training of the past few days. Everyone, upon hearing the Win young master's command, first time, Bayan Kai set up the Tian Cheng formation, the passport held high in front. The next moment, everyone then saw, there is black by Fangmu sand, the room of shifting colors, blooming with dazzling brilliance. A fierce flame suddenly ignited from thin air, take the whole Bifeng wood, transform into a burning torch. By Fan, a piercing howl echoed. Surging wild winds, wrapped in flames as hot as the blazing sun. A sudden surge swept over them. In an instant, the earth is cracking. The earth shakes and the mountains tremble. The whistle at the forefront endured the fiercest onslaught of flames. He does his best. Block the raging flames. For the junior disciples behind me relieved most of the pressure. Then he looked towards what should have been the location of Baifengmu. A bright and dazzling light appeared. The unicorn crane can only be faintly seen. Zheng Yingjing stands tall. Baifan. Feng Shao immediately understood. What happened? That emerald green wood. It was actually the shadow of an adult Bifeng. Chapter 19. Bai Fang's words. There is bird smoke. What is it like? One step. Chai Wan King Jai Bai Hui. Named by Fang. Its name is I. Seeing it, one knows its malicious intent. There is also a type of bird. Its shape resembles a crane. There is a foot. Red patterns. Blue feather. White bird Huey. Her name is Bai Fang. Its cry. That is its name. Where does it appear? Wherever there are wildfires. In this fantastical world, although there is a legend of Bai Fang, but it has already been a long time, no one has seen any trace of this mystical beast. In the existing ancient texts, all records regarding Bai Fang, it has been noted that this spirit beast is powerful, even the shadow of an adult Bifeng. They are far from being this group. Only those practitioners of the mere innate realm can be dealt with, determined. Launch an offensive against them. It is the shadow of Bai Fang, Feng Xiao's first moment. Thus a decision was made. Chang Han shouted, "Senior Sister Han, you will preside over the Tiancheng formation. Take someone to the location of the Bifeng tomb just now. Go extract the words of Bai Fang. I'll draw this big guy away." Feng Xiao shouted. As he took out from the storage ring, he took out a bright red gourd and threw it to Han Bian. "Use this to install the words of Bifeng. Hurry up." Han Bian grabbed the gourd, shouted, "Got it. Be careful, senior wind." At this critical moment, it wasn't when they were politely declining each other. Han Bian had also followed the wind whistle down the mountain many times. I am very familiar with this senior's style. For this reason, taking the gourd, Bian Chong shouted to every one, "Come with me. Lu Shaimai, you come to assist me." Lu Qingyuan is experiencing this for the first time, facing such a situation, feeling quite nervous inside. After hearing the call of Han Bai-yun, quickly ran to Han Bai-yun's side. Among this group of disciples, apart from the wind whistle, the bento belongs to Lu Qingyuan, who has the highest realm. But Lu Qingyuan had no experience in handling matters. Therefore, the wind whistle will determine the power of decision-making, temporarily handed over to Han Bian, then by Han Bian and Lu Qingyuan. Together maintain the Tiancheng formation. Lu Shaimai, you have the highest realm among everyone here. You will host the formation. I will guide everyone in the right direction, taking advantage of the Holy Sun senior brother leading the beast away. Let's quickly go get the instructions from the divination. At this moment, Feng Xiao has already exited the range of the Tiancheng formation. Scorching hot wind, his skin was burned bright red, but he didn't have the energy to care about these. He took out 2 coins, the talisman purchased from Linglong Pavilion. With a flick of the wrist, hit the shadow of Bai Fang, shadow of avoidance, let out a sharp cry, angrily chased after the wind whistle. The wind whistle saw the shadow of the escapee chasing after. At that moment, he began to move, using all my strength to evade the shadow of the other. Erupting flames, although it's just a shadow, but the avoidance of the meeting. He can basically do it all. He soared high into the sky. The outstretched wings are nearly 10 meters wide. Wherever I go, every one ignites a fire without roots. The temperature of the air has also significantly improved. He opened his mouth. It was a fireball with a diameter of at least 1 meter, whistling down after the deafening explosion. The scope of the impact is at least. It is also 7 or 8 meters. Facing such fury, the whistle of the wind has not been defeated, or plans for subduing, because this is simply unrealistic. He devoted all his energy, focus on evading the attack. Reverse steps. He brought it to the extreme. Even so, he can also sense it. A little bit of Mars fell on him. Not long after, the originally neat and clean clothes burned out large holes, made him look entirely like a terribly miserable beggar. In the impression of the wind whistle, ever since I crossed over, I really haven't. This is truly a mess. In the wind's whistle exerting all effort, while drawing away the shadow of avoidance. Others are also moving as fast as they can. Arrived at the original location of under the command of Han Bian, 3 of them immediately took out their spiritual shovels. Then he gathered all his true energy, digging desperately. As for the other 6 people, then fully supports the protective shield of the Tiancheng formation. Due to the rise in temperature, the consumption of shields, it also became intense. Lu Qingyuan was in the formation. Zhu is the highest person. I can only feel the true energy within me pouring out. The speed of consumption is astonishing. He was taken aback himself. Han Bian saw this, quickly took out a few true Kai pills, stuffed everything into Lu Qingyuan's mouth. Hurry up and eat it. Quick, with the supplement of the true Kai pill. Lu Qingyuan's feelings. This is better. At this moment, suddenly a violent tremor shook the ground. The crowd was momentarily stunned and thrown into disarray, almost fell to the ground. After being brought back to reality, they instinctively looked towards the direction of the wind whistle. At that moment, everyone couldn't help but be shocked. Only the shadow of the evader is seen. Zhenfei was flying in the air. A blazing flame shot toward the ground, and the wind whistled. Right in the center. Shenzi Shixin, someone exclaimed. At that moment I wanted to rush over, rescue the wind whistle. Han Bian is quick-witted and agile. One hand grabbed that person, shouting, "What's the rush? Let's follow the Feng Shixin. It's come out so many times. Have you ever seen Brother Feng? Fought battles without confidence. Since, he said, can bind that beast, then it will definitely be able to entangle. What we need to do now, it's just Wang Senior Brother, when capturing that beast, quickly dig out the eye of avoidance." Hearing Han Bian say this, the crowd finally managed to calm down. But inside I was still extremely anxious. Don't waste time. Hurry up and dig. Let's go a bit earlier. Dig out the eye of avoidance. Brother Feng arrived safely a moment earlier. Someone shouted. The others responded in unison. The excavation speed suddenly accelerated, although the soil here, hard as iron, but in everyone's, through joint efforts. Not long after, the ground was dug up, a giant pit over a meter deep. The digger. Suddenly, a flash of light appeared before my eyes. Blazing flames. Suddenly, it rushed up from the underground. Danger. Quick, hide. Next moment, dazzling column of flames, soaring into the sky. Soaring into the sky. It seems like I can see. A great bird formed from condensed flames, soaring into the sky, directly fly into the sky, and Bai Yun was momentarily taken aback, quickly took out the crimson gourd. Channel your true energy. Activate it. Crimson gourd, a dazzling red light erupted, appeared exceptionally enchanting. Han Bai Yun pointed the gourd mouth forward. Crimson gourd, immediately light Changjin, absorbs water like usual, absorb the soaring flames within. I don't know about this red gourd. What material is it? Even evasive words can be so flexible. It can actually absorb too. In the crimson gourd, while absorbing the words of caution, the shadow of the avoidance suddenly seemed to sense something. Immediately turn your head towards the crowd. Then, without hesitation, flew over there. Feng Shao was giving it his all. Defend against the attacks of the shadow of evasion. The sudden disappearance of the attack, it also startled him. But after seeing clearly the direction in which the shadow of the avoidance flies, Feng Shao was suddenly taken aback, quickly chased after. The shadow of avoidance flies extremely fast. Not long after, it flew above the crowd. Immediately thereafter, the shadow of avoidance, a struggle in one movement, as I watched a ball of flames. It is necessary to speak out. At this moment, the whistle of the timely wind came with all its might. Without a second thought, he casually tossed out a bright yellow lasso. It was evenly and fittingly placed around the neck of Bai Fang. Then the wind whistle was suddenly pulled, a jet of flame from the shadow of avoidance, tending towards. It plunged headfirst into the ground just a few meters away from the crowd. Ah, the flame jet of the shadow of avoidance. A 1 meter squared deep pit was blasted into the ground, almost knocked everyone down to the ground. Hand by seemed oblivious. It was as if they hadn't noticed at all. I just went around the gates of hell again. His 2 eyes were fixated intensely, under the absorption of the crimson gourd, the ever-shrinking eye of avoidance. The heart is constantly urging, "Hurry up! Faster!" The shadow of avoidance has not yet ended. Uncontrollably furious. Suddenly a flurry of wings. Soar high into the sky. The wind whistle tightly gripped the lasso. It is also beyond one's control. Taken to the sky. Avoidance. Shadows of avoidance. Soaring slightly in the sky. Then a sharp sound was emitted, rushing straight towards the ground, watching the shadow of Bai Fang, just about to crash into everyone's heads. Feng Xiao gritted his teeth. He waved his hand and threw out a long sword. The long sword in the sky. A curve cuts through. Finally, it pierced directly into Bifang's shadow. On the other side of the wing, Ifan, under this circumstance, the shadow of avoidance tilted its body. It crashed to the ground beside the crowd. In the midst of sharp iron, the 4-eyed figure revealed a hint of pain. The wind whistle was struck by this collision. It also heavily struck the ground. 5 viscera and 6 bowels. Everything seems to have shifted after this collision. A mouthful of blood. Almost spit it out. He took a deep breath, forcing myself to ignore the excruciating pain in my body. A roll. He stood up from the ground. Then, with a flick of the wrist, a golden flying hook slipped away. A nail was driven into the shadow of avoidance, on the injured wing's root. Feng Xiao with the celestial flower sword. Inside the storage ring, not knowing how many treasures are hidden. And now, it's time for these treasures to shine. Under the torment of pain, shoulder not budging. Wings flapped chaotically. The scorching hot wind could almost roast a person alive, but the wind whistle tightly gripped the flying hook. Once the shadow of avoidance has the intention to take flight, he forcefully pulled it down. In an instant, a person and a bird were locked in a stalemate. The wind howled with gritted teeth. My eyes wanted to tear apart. But the shadow of the escape direction constantly looms over the shoulder. Frequent dismissals. Others wanted to step forward to help, but they were all driven back by the sharp sound of the wind. Just let the wind whistle, facing off against a fierce and unusual beast. After what felt like an eternity to everyone, a stick of incense had burned down. Han Bian finally shouted, "It's done." The evasive words were finally received in the crimson gourd. The joy on everyone's faces, overflowing in the eyes, the shadow of avoidance is filled with extreme anger. Move aside, move aside. The shadow of avoidance remains strong and persistent. Flapping its wings, it aimed to strike down the whistling wind, just as everyone was about to rush in to help. But then a furious whistle of the wind shouted, "Don't come over. Hurry up and go outside. Don't mind me." Thud. There is no but. Hurry up and go. Under the whistle of the wind, the machine's might. Everyone has long been accustomed to obeying the winds and whispers, although very unwillingly. But everyone was still urged on by the continuous sound of the wind whistle. Retreat as quickly as possible. When I arrived, cautiously, it took a full hour to walk. When you can go out, everyone was full of energy, each one like a streak of light, desperately flying outward. The consequences of avoiding the truth is also beginning to gradually emerge. Cracks on the ground, no longer spewing out blazing flames. The temperature of the air is also clearly dropping, due to the absence of high temperatures and fierce flames. The flying speed of the crowd increased once again, and waiting outside the shelter is the night dawn. Also noticed the change in the avoidance officer. His eye suddenly lit up. I have already understood in my heart. It seems there's an opportunity among the avoiders. It has already been taken by Feng Xiao and his team. Chapter 20. The Heist. Although everyone except Feng Xiao did not participate in the battle against the shadow of avoidance, but just maintaining the heavenly formation, consumed a large amount of vital energy. At this moment, everyone felt an emptiness in their dantian. I can hardly muster any energy. Han Bian's vital energy consumption is also quite severe, but he just avoided that blow, although it did not hit him. But under the influence of Yu's aftermath, I also feel the energy and blood surging within my body. Just as we were halfway through the flight, it felt like I was about to cough up blood. The group finally managed to break out of the shelter, quickly adjusted his breathing. Han Bian felt a wave of dizziness. As soon as I landed, I almost fell. Lu Qingyuan quickly supported Han Bian. Eagerly asked senior sister, "How are you?" Han Bian struggled to suppress the surging blood within her. "It's fine to speak softly. Just a moment to catch my breath, and I'll be fine. Junior sister, please protect everyone first." Lu Qingyuan nodded. However, at that moment, a shadow suddenly flashed by. In an instant, he appeared before Han Bian. Han Bian was shocked. Unconsciously, I struck out with a palm. The other party had long anticipated this. He also struck out with a palm. With a loud bang, Han Bian was sent flying by this palm strike. The surging energy can no longer be suppressed. In mid-air, Han Bian spat out a mouthful of blood. That person was clapping their hands at the same time. A hand snatched the crimson gourd from Han Bian's grasp. Lu Qingyuan also reacted at this moment. Unable to contain my anger, draws a long sword, chop at the opponent, shouting at the thief and daring. The shadow seemed unwilling to confront Lu Qingyuan. With a quick sidestep, they evaded Lu Qingyuan's attack range. Lu Qingyuan thought without hesitation. Chase after it and attack the shadow again. The shadow is unwilling to fight. Turning and leaving, Lu Qingyuan was just about to chase after. But when I see other senior brothers and sisters, that weak appearance. For a moment I didn't know what to do. Han Bian, still lying on the ground and not yet sitting up, calling out to junior sister, "Hurry and get the things back." Lu Qingyuan heard this. With a determined bite, rushed towards that dark shadow. That shadow was naturally Yi Chen. Yi Chen actually came over to intercept. Of course, it's impossible to wear sect clothing. While tracking the crowd, he changed into a black outfit. While snatching the crimson gourd, he masked up again in advance. Therefore, everyone remained unaware. The thief, it turns out they are from the same sect. Yi Chen had a heart full of thoughts yet remained indifferent. It was obtained very easily. As for Han Bian, she was injured because of this. He doesn't take it to heart. Only for Lu Qingyuan, Yi Chen was unwilling to confront him. Main reason, it is still due to Lu Qingyuan's outstanding appearance. Therefore, from the very beginning, Yi Chen then spoke to this third senior sister, gained different thoughts. Injured Lu Qingyuan. He can't bear to part with it. It is precisely for this reason. When Lu Qingyuan caught up, Yi Chen felt a great headache. In terms of realms, Yi Chen, although with Lu Qingyuan, in the realm of innate beginnings, but the realm of the child of vitality. Their realm is different from that of ordinary people. Other people's realm is a realm, the realm of the breath of the spirit. It's just a decoy. If I were to battle Lu Qingyuan, Yi Chen is 100% confident. Victory in battle. But this weight, it's hard to hide one's own connections, will definitely be affected by the other party, aware of one's identity. But if choosing to run, he can't run faster than Lu Qingyuan. He currently has on hand, there is only one red dragon sword. This sword is indeed powerful. The design is quite stylish. In the past, Yi Chen always took pride in this. But now, a problem has arisen. This sword is too recognizable. If Yi Chen exposes his cultivation path, Lu Qingyuan could only guess who his mole was. But if the red dragon sword is drawn, so Lu Qingyuan could recognize it without a doubt. He is Yi Chen. So Yi Chen is now. It's also impossible to foresee flying, a journey that can only rely on footsteps. A foreseeable future. How could Yi Chen possibly escape? If it weren't for Lu Qingyuan, it also consumes a lot of vital energy. I'm afraid they'll catch up in an instant. Viv, put things down for me. After chasing for more than 10 miles, Lu Qingyuan finally caught up with the other party. Without further ado, with a single stroke of the sword, it came down. Yi Chen flashed by again, just about to change direction and continue running. Lu Qingyuan then launched a fierce attack, forcing Yi Chen to take action in defense. This evasive statement. It is the effort of many fellow disciples, brought out at the risk of my life. Lu Qingyuan would certainly not allow the other party. Take away the evasive words. Lu Qingyuan started off. He exerted all his strength, almost completely defenseless. Yi Chen is under Lu Qingyuan's offensive, in a flurry, struggling to resist. Several times I almost got directly struck down by Lu Qingyuan, but looking at Lu Qingyuan's delicate beauty, Yi Chen just couldn't bring himself to take action. After a round of fighting, Lu Qingyuan also noticed the other party seems not to want to hurt themselves. He felt confused. Unable to hold back, I asked, "What exactly are you?" Hiding one's head and showing one's tail. Why not show your true self? Yi Chen let out a cold snort, not saying anything. A palm struck towards Lu Qingyuan. He has already understood. To escape, we must first subdue Lu Qingyuan. However, an empty hand. The other one, however, wields a sharp blade. An assistant with a leg and an arm. The other one is giving it their all. Although Lu Qingyuan's strength is not as great, but under such circumstances, how could Yi Chen possibly resist? Indeed, before long, Yi Chen was caught off guard, hit by an arrow from Lu Qingyuan on the arm. If it weren't for Yi Chen's quick reaction, I'm afraid my whole arm will be chopped off. As Lu Qingyuan shot another arrow down, Yi Chen had no way out, only from the storage ring. Take out the red dragon sword, swing the sword to block, when a crisp sound of sword blades clashing rang out, and Lu Qingyuan. Yet they couldn't help but turn pale at the sight of the red dragon sword. Before Lu Qingyuan could finish speaking, Yi Chen launched a rapid attack. At the same time, a series of chuckles echoed from his mouth. What is the red dragon sword? This is the bloodthirsty sword of the old man. Little girl, you don't take the path to heaven. You have entered the gates of hell. Since you insist on seeking death, then I can only see you off this once. At this moment, Yi Chen can only use this method to disguise one's identity. I just hope Lu Qingyuan's eyesight isn't that good. Easily fooled by him, Lu Qingyuan was caught off guard by Yi Chen's sudden assault, forcing them to retreat step by step, just as he was about to be slain by Yi Chen. But at that moment, Yi Chen suddenly stopped, pretend to be unwilling. Damn it, I must leave now. Little girl, this time consider yourself lucky. After saying this, Yi Chen then drew his sword and rose. The guest disappeared without a trace. Lu Qingyuan, a look of disbelief appeared on his face. After losing the eye of avoidance, the shadow of avoidance soon disappeared, gradually dissipated. Feng Xiao is with Bai Fang Jai Ying. After a hard-fought battle, his face was also pale. Burns cover the entire body. The clothes were also burned to tatters. Looks more like a beggar than a saint, although it was quite a mess. But Feng Xiao felt in his heart, but very excited. After obtaining the eye of avoidance, Teiwei sect can then possess a pill refining chamber and a forging room that truly belong to me. Disciples of Teiwei sect, you can also obtain higher quality elixirs and sharper divine weapons. After resting for a moment, Feng Xiao chased after the direction in which everyone had left. But when he saw, lying on the ground, it is you, Han Bai Yan, who cannot bear it, could not help but change his expression dramatically. Han Shai, what happened to you? What just happened here? Feng Xiao asked eagerly. Han Bian forced herself to sit up. The Windmaster brother showed a sad expression. Junior sister has betrayed your trust. Eye of avoidance. It was stolen by a thief. What? Feng Xiao was taken aback. He quickly stood up, looking all around, seeing that the other junior disciples were unharmed. Only then did I feel a bit reassured. But soon after, he discovered Lu Qingyuan is surprisingly not here, before he could even ask. Then a disciple spoke up. Chenzi Shixin. Lu Shaimai went to chase that thief. It's in that direction. Feng Xiao nodded slightly. Rather than everyone, take good care of Han Shaimai. I went to chase that thief. Before the words fell silent, he wielded a long sword, breaking through the air and leaving. It didn't take long to fly. Feng Xiao then discovered Lu Qingyuan's whereabouts. He quickly landed on the ground, just about to ask Lu Qingyuan about the thief's whereabouts. But saw Lu Qingyuan, unexpected expression, a lost and bewildered expression. Lu Shaimai. Hearing Feng Xiao's call, Lu Qingyuan finally regained his senses. He hurriedly turned to Feng Xiehang. Feng Xiao waved his hand. There's no need to say much about junior sister Lu. You speak first. Where did that thief go? This Lu Qingyuan's face. A flicker of hesitation passed by, then pointed in a direction. Said, it went in that direction. Lu Qingyuan did not know. Actually, Feng Xiao has already noticed the strangeness in his expression. Feng Xianeng has been in charge of Teiwei sect for so many years. They are meticulous thinkers. At that moment, I realized Lu Qingyuan is acting strangely, recalling that theft, the cunning thief who avoids confrontation. Feng Xiao had a thought in his heart. Bold guess. This scoundrel. Could it be Lu Qingyuan? Someone you know, right? Thinking of this face, Feng Xiao asked calmly. Lu Shaimai. What kind of thief is that, Uncle Lu? You can see it now. Lu Qingyuan's face, showing signs of hesitation and struggle. After a moment, he shook his head. My junior sister did not notice. Uncle Lu from the other party. What are the characteristics of that thief? Feng Xiao asked again. Lu Qingyuan answered very decisively this time. The person was dressed in all black, covering the face. Self-proclaimed old man. It was a knife, a weapon called the slaying crab sword. It might be a possibility. The well-known cultivator. Feng Xiao's expression suddenly became gloomy. What a mess! Since I am wearing black clothes, still covering the face. It's obvious. Do not want others to know your identity. How could he possibly? The name of the weapon. Speak boldly and confidently. Such an obvious flaw. Lu Qingyuan like this. Blue Star wise ones will not be aware. As for what a crab sword is, Feng Xiao can guess it all. It must be a characteristic, an extremely obvious divine weapon. Please reconnect to write this character, the characteristics of this sword. It's simply irresistible. That thief possesses. It's essentially the blood chain sword. Looking at Lu Qingyuan again, with hesitation and the expression of struggle. Feng Xiao still can't figure it out. The identity of that thief. This moment, Feng Xiao's first time, a surge rose in my heart, a heavy sense of murderous intent. Chapter 21, Cover Up. Feng Xiao glanced at Lu Qingyuan. He spoke softly. It seems that this time I can only admit defeat. It's a pity. No more words of caution. Reconstruction of the alchemy pavilion and the foundry house. It will be delayed for a while again. Lu Qingyuan couldn't help but shudder. Feng Xiao noticed Lu Qingyuan's reaction, but said nothing at all. He turned around and walked back. Lu Qingyuan then followed behind him. My heart is in chaos. Upon learning about the thief, after the news of their escape, all the disciples erupted in furious curses. They risked their lives, arrived at this shelter, exerted tremendous effort, just got the words of caution in hand, but was stopped by someone unknown. Where did this guy come from? Robbing the tiger. How can anyone not hate? But at this moment, everyone was injured. But the strongest is Feng Xiao, even more battered and bruised. They want to retrieve the words of caution. It is obviously impossible. Everyone felt an immense frustration. But there is nothing that can be done. Feng Xiao found a secluded corner. Start treating the wound. The shadow of avoidance. Although it's just a shadow. The true power of defense. Not sure how much has changed. But it's not something he can easily handle. In fact, everyone can be safe and sound. Exit the defense team. We are already incredibly fortunate. One of the 10 forbidden places. Indeed, it is not a one-word world. After treating the wound, Feng Xiao then began to help others with their breathing exercises. Lu Qingyuan sat in a secluded corner. Mixed feelings. My heart is in turmoil. Due to the enormous consumption by everyone, we can only stay here for the night for now. Under Feng Xiao's arrangement, everyone began to prepare the meal, setting up the tent. While eating, everyone remembers. These past few days have been quite a toil, unexpectedly intercepted by someone, another round of furious cursing. Feng Xiao among the crowd, it can be considered the calmest performance. He just ate silently. Not a word is spoken. The whole person looks like, it feels like wandering through the heavens. After finishing the meal, Feng Xiao continued to meditate and regulate his breath. From start to finish, Feng Xiao always appears to be taciturn. Clearly, the mood is also quite terrible. Everyone sees it clearly. In my heart, I feel something for that man in black. Hate it even more. By nightfall, everyone hurried into the tent, getting ready to sleep. Lu Qingyuan and Han Bian, living in the same tent, dove in early, but as soon as he lay down, Han Bian then crawled in. Lu Qingyuan said, "Junior sister, Feng Shixing is looking for you." Lu Qingyuan's heart suddenly skipped a beat, a faint sense of unease. But he didn't say anything. He quietly crawled out of the tent, in the direction pointed out by Han Bian. Lu Qingyuan was at a distance from the camp, a distance of over 100 meters. I found Feng Xiao. At this moment, Feng Xiao was facing away from him, gazing at the silent, desolate wilderness. Lu Qingyuan walked into Feng Xiao, just about to speak. Yet Feng Xiao said, "Lu Shaimai, don't you have anything to say? Do you want to say something to me?" Lu Qingyuan's heart. Suddenly it began to beat wildly. He forcibly suppressed the unease in his heart. He said in a calm tone, "Junior sister does not understand senior brother Feng's meaning." Silence. After a long time, Feng Shuikai spoke, "Junior sister Lu, if I calculate without difference, you have been in the master's school for 7 years now. In these 7 years, how does the sect treat you?" Lu Qingyuan answered, "Yes. Treat me as you would your father and mother. The sect's kindness to me spans the 4 seas." Feng Xiao nodded slightly. "Since that's the case, if the sect is in need, are you willing to dedicate yourself to the sect, even at the cost of their lives?" "I will spare no effort." Lu Qingyuan was puzzled, but still replied, "This is nature. The sect is like family to me. I will be shattered to pieces. It is also difficult to hold on to even a fraction of it." Feng Xiao let out a long sigh. Anyone can whisper sweet nothings, but it can really be done. "How many people are there?" Lu Qingyuan couldn't help but ask. What does brother Feng really mean? Let's speak frankly. Feng Xiao turned around. A pair of eyes, looking intently at Lu Qingyuan. "Speaking of junior sister Lu, let me ask you, if someone does something detrimental to the sect, how do you feel?" Lu Qingyuan was about to respond. Feng Xiao, however, scoffed coldly. "It might be difficult for junior sister Lu. The interests of the sect have been harmed. There's no need to take it to heart. Perhaps some people, the position of Lu Shaimai in my heart, far more important than the master's door." Lu Qingyuan's heart. Suddenly it felt cold, but at this moment I could only force myself to remain calm and say, "Junior sister doesn't understand senior brother Feng's meaning." "Not understood. I see you're trying to pretend not to understand." Feng Xiao looked at Lu Qingyuan. The tone is solemn, the thief who snatched away the words of evasion. "What is the origin?" Lu Shaimai truly does not know. Now this, Lu Qingyuan's heart went cold. Since Feng Xiao can say such things, so there's really no point in arguing any more. Lu Qingyuan breathed heavily, at a loss. For a moment, I didn't know how to respond. Feng Xiao coldly said, "Junior sister Lu keeps saying, willing to contribute strength to the sect. It can be said that the words of caution were taken away, but you want to hide it. The identity of the robber. Do you know? How important are evasive words to a sect? Do you know? After receiving the words of caution, we can truly possess it. My own alchemy chamber and forge. All fellow disciples can make use of it. A more effective elixir. And the ice is more resilient in quality. I don't have it." Lu Qingyuan shouted in despair. "I did not conceal that person's identity. I have no idea who he is." "Lion, Lu Shaimai, it's already come to this point. You still refuse to tell the truth. Do I really have to explain the situation to the sect leader? Are you going to expel me from the sect?" Lu Qingyuan was left speechless. Since entering the sect, Feng Xiao took good care of him, to the point where he once doubted Feng Xiao, the intention to speak of one's own inconvenient existence. Later, Lu Qingyuan just found out. Feng Xiao did this. It's because he has the qualifications, hoping he can grow quickly to develop the sect. Even so, Lu Qingyuan also felt that Feng Xiao's feelings about himself, it should be different from others. But now, Feng Xiao then spoke out. Expel him from the sect. How could he not be utterly astonished? Feng Xiao continued speaking. "Lu Shaimai, you have exceptional talent in the sect. Few among peers reached such a level. I respectfully heed your teachings. I only hope you can stand on your own soon. Help me share the pressure. But if you are a public and private part, black and white remain unchanged. Then if I continue to nurture you, isn't that giving it to the sect? Cultivating a huge disaster. Lu Kingyuan felt his hands and feet were icy cold, part like dead ashes. He never expected. The always tolerant and magnanimous Feng Shao. Unexpectedly, it can be a disaster. Such words to describe him. This made him feel in his heart, feeling both sad and ashamed. At the same time, there was a faint sense of defiance. Feng Shao said coldly, "Lu Shaimai, let me ask you one more question. That thief who snatched the words of avoidance, who exactly is it?" In Feng Shao's tone, a hint of murderous intent was already faintly present. "It seems that Lu Kingyuan is no longer valued. Treat her as your own junior sister." Lu Kingyuan looked at the flamboyant Feng Shao, gritted teeth. After hesitating for a while, in the end he slowly shook his head. Feng Shao looked at him for a long time. Suddenly a sound of eating, a self-deprecating smile. "I didn't expect that. I didn't expect that." The disciples trained by the sect for 7 years. In the end, it turned out to be a company, those who are indifferent to grudges and grievances. You think that if you don't speak, I just don't know. Who is that person? What I want. It's just your attitude. And I just gave you your last chance. Unfortunately, you are unwilling to seize it. Lu Kingyuan's heart skipped a beat. Suddenly, a bad premonition arose. Sure enough, immediately after that, he then heard Feng Shao speak in a cold tone. After bringing him back to the mountain, "I will report everything to the master and my teacher." Yi Chen, disciple of the Three Doors, boldly snatching away, stealing from the sect. And you, Lu Kingyuan. This would be to shield him. Lu Kingyuan's teacher-student guidance. You have no evidence. You can't accuse me like this. Is it unfair? Hee hee. After Yi Chen returned to the mountain, everything will be revealed in due time. Lu Kingyuan, take care of yourself. Feng Shao left after saying this. He waved his sleeve and left. Only leave the 6 gods and 5 lords. Lu Kingyuan in a state of confusion. Feng Shao's heart. I really didn't want to reach this point. But unfortunately, Lu Kingyuan cannot distinguish right from wrong. How could they actually think of protecting Yi Chen, that traitor? Indeed, the words of caution were snatched away. It is not Lu Kingyuan's fault, but he kept it a secret. It means to put personal emotions placed above the interests of the sect. If this continues for a long time, sooner or later, one day, the entire Teiwei sect, they would be sold by someone like him. And Feng Shao, as the holy son of the sect, she cannot tolerate him. Of course, Yi Chen is such a traitor, absolutely cannot stay in Teiwei sect. What a pity! Years of careful nurturing, the bond of so many years as fellow disciples. On the way back to the mountain, Lu Kingyuan is taciturn. Feng Shao is also not one to joke around. At this moment, the atmosphere of the entire team, everything became quite serious. The other disciples, noticing this, yet no one dared to ask Feng Shao. It can only be done privately once. 3 days' time, in the blink of an eye. When Teiwei Mountain, faintly on the horizon, when I popped my head out, Lu Kingyuan's heart, a feeling of fear arose. The first time in life, the sect that he once regarded as a writer, making him unable to look directly. He suddenly wanted to find an excuse. Stop here. However, Feng Shao, who is flying at the front, how could I possibly give him this opportunity? seeing Tewei Mountain getting closer. Lu Qingyuan's fear in his heart. It also grows gradually. It was just Lu Qingyuan, almost overwhelmed by my own fear, when fully occupied. A sudden sound came from ahead. Feng Xiao's voice was sharp and clear. "What kind of person?" "Get out here." Under the astonished gazes of the crowd, a mass of black mist appeared before everyone. The black mist twisted and turned in the air. A moment later, then it condensed into a human form. The person was dressed in a long black robe. Face in the black mist, under the veil, difficult to discern. Just look at the way they make their entrance. Looking again at his red hat that exuded black mist, anyone can see the identity of the opposing demon cultivator. Feng Xiao established himself with discipline, looking at each other. Spoke. "Where did the demon cultivator come from? Dare to block my way?" Then the demon cultivator let out a sound. After Shen Ren's laughter, Ying Sisi said, "I have long heard of Tewei sect. Sheng Zifeng is a handsome and talented young man. Extraordinary demeanor. Today's first meeting. Indeed, it lives up to its reputation." Feng Xiao let out a cold chuckle. "You said you stopped us. Is it just for talking nonsense like this?" "Of course not." The demon cultivator laughed. "Tai Weizong is under your stewardship. Over the years, their power has gradually increased, now has become the second-rate sects of the Eastern Jew. It's a pity. You are too powerful, insufficient depth, compared to the real second-rate sects. Still far from enough, such sects, for our magic gate. Isn't it just like a feast? And today we came here. Of course, it's for eat this grand meal you prepared. No, Feng Xiaoxian is a certificate." Then he shouted at Han Bian and Shailak, "Quickly bring everyone back to the sect. I will hold them off for you here." Han Bian was suddenly taken aback. "But Brother Fen, less talk. Hurry up." As Feng Xiao urged everyone to leave, but the demon cultivator suddenly made a sound and tried to leave. "I'm sorry. None of you can leave." Chapter 22, Siege. As soon as the demon cultivator's voice fell, Feng Xiao soon noticed two powerful auras appeared from both sides behind the crowd, ride the triangle, surround everyone in the center. These three individuals are all at the golden course stage. Feng Xiao has a square of his own. How much chance do we have if the three of them went up together? I am afraid everyone will perish here. It is obvious. The other party wants to take them. All annihilated here, in the blink of an eye. Feng Xiao has already made a decision in his heart. He waved his hands. Two long swords, simultaneously appearing on both hands. Immediately after, Feng Xiao waved his hands. Waves of sword energy, like a raging tide, the demonic cultivators surged forward. It really is the super ocean sword technique. The demon cultivator ahead, even if it is a level higher than Feng Xiao, can face the onslaught of the KO high sword technique. But they could only temporarily avoid the spotlight. At the moment he dodged, Feng Xiao immediately called out to everyone, "Charge forward." With Feng Xiao's command, all the disciples rushed forward. Just as the demon cultivator was about to intervene, Feng Xiao looked at him. Another round of intense attack, under the full protection of Feng Xiao. Everyone rushed over safely and without incident. The other two demon cultivators wielded swords, immediately chased after the disciples. Feng Xiao shouted angrily, "Leave them all to me." The greatest feature of the super sea sword technique. Just ignore the number of enemies. No matter how many enemies there are. The power of the super sea sword technique. almost never decreases. It is a sword technique suitable for group attacks. At this moment, Feng Shao, in order to allow others to withdraw smoothly, it's already using all its strength, surging super-ocean sword energy, unexpectedly, stubbornly, stopped all three of them, while Feng Shao entangled the three individuals. Among the disciples who escaped, I want to come back and help Feng Shao. But Han Bai-yun grabbed her. Han Bian shouted at the person, "Don't go over there. Let's go. I can only hold back brother Fang. The faster we run, the more senior brother Fang, the safer it is. In the face of everyone's helplessness. Only follow what Han Bai-yun said, flying towards Tewei Mountain with all our might. As long as we return to Tewei Mountain, defense of the Guardian formation, these three demon cultivators cannot harm them at all." Among the fleeing crowd there was a person, but she was gazing at Feng Shao from afar. Glaring contest. This person is Lu Qingyuan. After being reprimanded by Feng Sheiji with harsh words and a scornful look, Lu Qingyuan felt a sense of panic in his heart. There was also a hint of resentment towards Feng Shao.